study done not long ago that talked about how real estate values were impacted by how close they were to certain types of restaurants, and they based it on a lot of data that had, research had been done by Zillow to determine proximity to restaurants. So today, what I wanted to talk about is, which restaurant do you guys think brings more value to a neighborhood, PDQ or Chick-fil-A? And I just threw a curveball to you. We had PDQ today. They brought PDQ into the iHeart Studios, and their food is excellent. And Chick-fil-A obviously has got a great reputation, and they're generally close to each other. I think a lot of times their real estate people are probably pretty smart. But the reason I bring it up is because, big franchise systems and corporations like that have real estate analysts that do nothing but research real estate, values, up-and-coming neighborhoods all day long. It's all of what they do. So it's actually a really good indicator of real estate success. And if you look at where each of them has put stores, especially here in Metro Tampa, each of them have put stores in areas where it seems like the real estate is doing really well and is in growth mode. And so obviously some of this could come into which chicken do you like more,
right?
But nonetheless, the retailers and establishments and restaurants that come into an area have a big impact. And I think on the same token, you saw Chick-fil-A come into the Gandy corridor a few years ago. You had, at Gandy and Del Mabry, there was really nothing there. So everything south of Gandy didn't have, a lot of food opportunities. And now that area seems to be doing extremely well. Values are growing, and of course, more commercial development comes. And I think sometimes those anchor businesses have a big impact on it. So, Yates, what's your flavor? You got PDQ or Chick-fil-A?
I like Chick-fil-A better. I like PDQ as well. Myself, I had never heard or seen a PDQ until I moved to Florida. So I don't know. You guys would know this better than me if it's just like a regional brand
they're
or
brand
national.
new. Yeah, they're brand new.
Okay.
Well, PDQ.
Yeah,
they're a newer brand. Yeah, they're a newer brand. And they were started by the guys that started that. Some of the guys that were involved in starting Outback. Who, back in the day, we actually helped sell some condo units in a building that those same guys, developed. But nonetheless, there's a constant battle between PDQ and Chick-fil-A. We were sampling the PDQ today and talking about how great it was, and I was envisioning myself going to lunch at Chick-fil-A today. So both of them have mind space for me. But Robert, what are your thoughts on that? Retailers, businesses, corporate stuff like that does have a big impact, and I think again, restaurants like that attract a lot of business are attractive to live close to.
Yeah, I think that there's almost two different things with it. I think if they're going in an area that's continuing to develop or just starting development, it's a good indication that if you want to invest in that area and new construction, then it's probably a great area to invest in, because usually once one commercial business comes in or something like that, it's a continued investment. And the subdivisions that are closest to that are usually the ones that are more desirable. And of course there's offshoots of that aren't necessarily true. But I also think if you see stuff like that going into an area that's already established, that it means a lot of times that the area is continuing on an upward swing, that it's still getting investment, and that it's highly desirable, to own real estate there, because a lot of these companies own that real estate and don't rent them. But actually, I was going to say, separate from PDQ and Chick-fil-A, one of the most hardcore real estate companies is actually McDonald's.
Yeah, McDonald's, they're especially their local ownership. Some of the people that I've met through their organization, the real estate values are just as important to them as selling sandwiches.
Yeah, so they're actually, and if you read some of the books,
the Casper company locally.
Yeah. So their basic thing is we're a real estate company that sells fast food.
Yeah.
I mean that's where they're getting a lot of their long-term investment from.
Yep.
So especially when you see a company like McDonald's coming in, it took so much for them to pick that site, and they're actually super selective on where they pick sites.
Yep.
That's always a good sign.
And so, I know, it's interesting. I bring both of the the PDQ and the Chick-fil-A up, and it's probably because we're partial. Because we've had business experiences with people involved in both of those organizations. So Chick-fil-A, for example, we are, the owner of the stadium store is a customer of ours, worked with Grant Holcomb, who's our Director of Buyer Services, and I'm in there, pretty regularly. And then obviously some of the PDQ people were heavy real estate developers back in the day, and we had some interactions with them. So, just seeing, just having an interaction with some of the, the ownership group, and then the owner at the Gandy store I see and talk to regularly, and that he does a lot of great things with, the community and his church, and so, I love both of those organizations. It's interesting that they're competitors, but the reality is that I don't know if they truly are competitors, because I think they can both generate enough. I think, if you're a customer of one, it doesn't necessarily mean that you won't be a customer of the other. It just means that you're going to probably eat more chicken. And I feel like I eat chicken every single day.
I would tell you that as far as real estate investing with those two companies, and I'm not super familiar with PDQ, but I do know it's more of a franchise model.
Correct.
Where people go in and they invest and then they just open a store. And again, I could have the details wrong.
And Chick-fil-A is a franchise too, but it's a little bit more corporate involved.
It's totally different.
Yeah, it's very much like the owner has some leeway, but it's really more corporate control.
Yeah, so corporate, it's an owner-operator kind of thing. So they're partners, but corporate controls all the store locations. I mean, corporate kind of controls everything with Chick-fil-A. The owner-operators just go in and are almost placed there. So it's a totally different model. They're not helping Chick-fil-A pick that site or anything. That's all corporate decisions, and they're just partners with them to run and own the store. So I would say for real estate investing, and if you're looking for a large company that is doing a lot of their own research and trusting their own people that are full-time employed to do that, I would say it's Chick-fil-A, definitely.
Yeah, so but I think the key to the conversation about bringing up PDQ and Chick-fil-A is really related to real estate values. So if you're someone who's really nervous about, buying a house, I think buying something close to those staple retailers, Starbucks is another big one. Buying close to a Starbucks, it just, historically, real estate values hold closer because, again, that's something that certain people, not everybody. I mean, look, there's Starbucks fans, there's Dunkin' Donut fans. There's, there's a lot of different fans of coffee and donuts and all that, but the people that are fans of that brand want to be really close to it. They want to be a couple-minute drive away, and that extra demand in those areas helps justify value. So, similar to schools, people want to be close to great schools, and so, not really similar to schools. I think schools have a more important value proposition than Starbucks, but the real estate proximity to those locations has a big impact. And we've talked so many times, real estate is all about location, and not just the location of the real estate, but the location of what is around the real estate. Whether it's whether you're close to a busy road, whether you're close to the water, whether you're close to a Target or a Walmart, or whether you're close to a PDQ or a Chick-fil-A. Real estate is all about, location has, a major impact. And we've talked about this before. You can have homes in Tampa that are within blocks of each other and be the same home and be 10 to 20% different in value. You get over close to Bayshore in South Tampa, and the closer you get to Bayshore, the shorter the walk to Bayshore, the more valuable it gets. To the point where if you get a view of Bayshore and the water, it's even more valuable real estate. So, it's why, Robert, I'm sure you deal with this. A lot of times we meet with sellers, and they have a misconception on value because they don't they look, oh, well, that house is a third of a mile away from me, and it's sold for this, why shouldn't mine? But the location of the other property is so much more desirable.
Well, we run into that with sellers. Even some appraisers that aren't familiar with the area, you see that they come in and make that mistake. So, it really takes somebody really knowing their neighborhood and a professional to come in and tell you what they see as far as market value, and it's not all about price per square foot.
Right, it's not. And again, proximity to the school, let's face it, proximity to a toxic neighbor, somebody that's got a junkyard in the driveway. I've owned real estate with junkyards behind it. In other words, they got 5 or 6 cars in the backyard in a nice neighborhood, and that's going to hurt you, and so. It's not just the house's location, but it's also the location of what's around it.